We're here to talk about money. Now, it's not often spoken about, but monetizing social media accounts as well as digital content creation platforms encompasses a major part of the influencer industry, if we may call it so. We often wonder, do influencers earn? If yes, how? Is it enough? Joining us on the broadcast is Veer Rajwanth Singh, actor and influencer, Kundan Ahuja, founder of Bombay Balloon, as well as Mithali Nikore, who is an economist. And they're going to help us understand what the economics of influencing looks like. If I could quickly take my first question from Kundan Ahuja, who is the founder of Bombay Balloon. Kundan, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Now, I have known you for some time now. And I know that you take extreme pride in Bombay Balloon because you started it from scratch as a universe, as somebody who was still studying. Has it been difficult, Kundan, to monetize Bombay Balloon?
Honestly, yes, because at the end of the day, I think because the kind of content that we create content around celebrities and celebrity culture. So the kind of content that we create, it's very difficult to monetize it unless and until you have a celebrity on board. So you need to have interviews, you need to have features, reviews and stuff like that to make sure that, you have that. And I think in the entertainment industry, the only way to get through anything is access. So, and I didn't have any. So, initially, of course, it was a problem to kind of monetize. But I think eventually when people started realizing that maybe we're doing quality content, maybe this is something reliable, I think monetization did come its own way. We didn't have to really go looking for it, but it came after 3 years.
Right. Mithali, you're a young economist. Now, can you tell us about the various economic prospects that influencing itself has? And do you think that people underplay the amount of money you can make as an influencer?
So, I think, I wouldn't be able to comment on the individual earning potential as such. But, when we talk about the size and the macroeconomic size of the creator economy, the way it's sort of growing worldwide, we're projecting that the influencer economy is set to touch the $15 billion mark globally by 2022. Now, if we consider the fact that the influencer economy was just sitting at $8 billion 2-3 years ago to now 15 billion in 2022, that's a quantum leap, right? And we haven't seen that kind of leap in any industry globally except for AI and ML, which are the only comparable tools here. So I think it's important to look at the fact that vlogger, influencer, digital marketer, these have become terms which are now very commonplace, at least in the urban, sort of dictionary. And in fact, the Forbes magazine recently conducted a survey which said that 33% of Gen Z people, globally, and people aged 8 to 12 years want to become vloggers and influencers and see it as a serious career path. Now, even in India, when we, come down to our situation, we saw that TikTok was actually one of the platforms which took off hugely, much more than Instagram, etc., because TikTok was a platform that reached the masses of India. It reached tier 2, tier 3 cities, which maybe Instagram, etc., are still not reaching. So I feel like there is a ripe space for a platform to come in and for multiple platforms to come in to replace that market share which TikTok lost with the ban, and and grow, and for influencers to grow. Another interesting thing about the influencer economy, my last point and then I'll stop, is that the influencer economy in India, unlike globally, has the potential to create micro pockets and micro entrepreneurs. India has been known as a country of micro entrepreneurs. We have 63.4 million MSMEs across the country, and influencers can give MSMEs something which they never had, which is branding.
Yeah.
And if the two come together, the potential for growth in the Indian economy is huge and immense.
Okay, all right, Mithali, lots of points that you've given us to talk about. If I could quickly rope in Veer Rajwanth Singh, who is still with us on the broadcast. In fact, Veer, now Mithali has spoken about digital content creation, the kind of scope that the industry has. A major part of going digital are these OTT platforms that you, for one, create a lot of content for, correct? So then we'll help us understand, what do partnerships on OTT platforms look like? Are they different from partnerships on, let's say, applications such as Instagram, Facebook? Are they different?
I mean, if you're talking about storytelling, if you're talking about shows, we only had YouTube a few years back. We only had, like, if anybody wanted to make a show, they just make the show and they put it on YouTube, and the reaction would be the views or the comments, actually, which are only enabled in YouTube. But now that we have OTT platforms, we have apps, we have different production houses, we only get to know how a show is working is by the season 2 of it. You know, the more money they get, the better the show is doing. And right now, I think pandemic also acted as a catalyst right now, because we were trying to figure out, okay, one Bollywood celebrity is coming and he's doing show, and then second is coming, and suddenly pandemic happened and everybody just thought, like, even if you talk about two-tier cities, even if you talk about people in the villages, they used to get out of the village, they used to go to the single screens. Now they are looking at different packages. They are changing their SIM cards so that they can enable 1 or 2 apps where they could just watch films, and their budget for cable that they had, like earlier when we were kids, we had always a set budget of cable TV, right?
Yeah.
Now that's going to mostly apps, OTT platforms, or the SIM cards that is giving you packages. I think India as a country has a very unique packaging system where people a person somewhere in a village might not want to watch Netflix, but he would like to have a deal where he has multiple OTT platforms that he can watch old films, new everything.
Right, Kundan, so about Bombay balloons, right? A lot of people now, as influencers, make themselves the brand. Now, when it comes to making your content the brand and building that into an economic prospect and building that as a brand, can you tell us about Bombay balloons and how you achieved that?
I think Kundan's video has stuck.
All right, I'll get back to Kundan on that question. Until then, Mithali, if you can pitch in and talk about the OTT platforms as another prospect of it. But when it comes to social media, a lot of influencers also start bringing up their own businesses, right? They start then first build their personal brand, and then they come up with their other brands, such as if there is a cosmetic brand, then they do that, or a clothing brand. So there are other ways that they start branching out, or they start collaborating with, say, other platforms like OTT platforms or Spotify or several other brands, right? So could you also tell us about the way that they branch out and the possible expansion of the influencer industry?
Absolutely. What happens is we are looking at influencers as micro digital marketing agencies, It's like one individual using their following, which they have built using certain brands, and then building on that to market other brands. So, for example, when I look at successful influencers like, say, Usha Kapila, right? When she started, it wasn't about marketing. It was about her content, and I personally am a big follower of hers. I love her, sets and her skits, etc., which she puts out on Instagram and other platforms. And then slowly I started seeing her plug-in products, which is good because I didn't know about many of those products. And I'm sure many of us have gone through that experience, that there is an influencer that we follow on a particular platform, which is our preferred platform, and they are plugging in some products. So this is what I mean, connecting the digital world with a physical manufacturing economy. How do we do that? Because that is what can actually spur growth, right? We need to give an impetus to our manufacturing industry. We need to give an impetus to our FMCG industry. We need to give an impetus to how India does branding. and how can we take, say, for example, a brand like K, where Katrina Kaif comes in, puts in, her investment, puts in her, brand value in that sense, creates a original product and then places it on Nykaa. We create a whole ecosystem around that, and that creates so much employment, that creates so much activity in the economy, and creates what has the potential to become a regional or global makeup brand from India, which is unheard of till now. So I think that, with the, and also influencers from India specifically don't just have an Indian appeal, they have at least a South Asian appeal, and also diaspora. and that opens up the export market. So for marketing influencers, they may be dismissed as fluff by many economists, but I don't ascribe to that view. I think they are playing a very important role in product discovery, which is a big problem, in India, where a lot of the NGOs and women-led SHGs, self-help groups in rural areas, can benefit from the patronage and from the voice and reach that these influencers have to connect directly with their consumers.
Okay, all right. So, Mithali, very interesting that you've spoken about how we need to connect manufacturing to influencers, because then that's going to help take forward brands that are curated in India to a global platform. Now, I could see Veer, nod his head and agree with that. Veer, if you could help us understand, when we talk about these partnerships, right, how many partnerships or how many people approach you to be on your platform? If you could just help us understand, let's say in a month, how many endorsements do you get?
See, I think it's when during the second wave, there's seriousness everywhere that nobody wants to promote their brand and everything. But before that, during the pandemic, I think every other day, especially in festival season, when there's a sale going on and when there's end of year sales, end of season sales. So there are a lot of brands who are out there, and I think right now advertisement is not more about how big the celebrity or the influencer is. Right now everybody is mostly about engagement. How many people are really engaging in your content? What is the group of people that you are actually that is your audience, that like a chips packet would not work in a 2-tier or 3-tier city as in metro cities. So it's like it depends on actually what is your audience, where you at, either you're in Delhi or in Bombay, or what kind of audience you have. But I think 1 or 2 brands every week you keep getting, in my experience.
Right. So we have Kundan back with us. Kundan, so tell us about building Bombay Balloons as a brand in a world where, as an influencer, people build themselves as a brand, right? And that's relatively, I would not like to compare both the things. But of course, building a brand from scratch and making it a page and then building it without a face or a personality and then making it into what it is, making it into an economic prospect is of course difficult. And tell us how you did that.
Firstly, I don't like the term influencer or content creators. I think of all of us as artists, because I think it's very important to see that, all of us are here because of the talent we have, whether it's we acting or anyone, say for example, fashion sense or whatever it is, So I like to refer to all of us as artists firstly. And secondly, I think, building the business, this was entirely a passion project. I was in college, at that time I was interning at Film Fair and then Film Companion, and I realized that I really like writing about film. So I thought, why just not do it for myself? And I started off just like that, and then eventually, people, when people see credibility, they approach you. So it's not like, you need to go out there. I'm not a very outgoing person, so, I will never go out and say, oh, hey, let me promote your brand or whatever. But I think when people started seeing that there is something worth coming to the stage for, production houses started approaching us, like a positive review for this film, for that film, and it became a lot about that. Even though we never did that, but I think we build our brand like that only. And when someone is approaching you to write a positive film, to write a positive review for the city film, it just means that you're doing a good job.
Okay.
So I think we built on that and then just made it from there. And today we do have endorsements that come up our page, even endorsements that are not film related. But we always make sure that whatever we do is on basis of content, on basis of how it can be made film related.
You said that you get approached by a lot of people to write positive reviews at times.
Yeah.
Kundan, and you turn a lot of these down if you do not, or if your team does not like the movie as such, or the film as such, or let's say short film as such.
Yeah.
Kundan, is it difficult to, say no, especially for a brand that is just starting off? Like you said, you want to use the term artist. So then, is it difficult for an artist to say no in the initial stages?
No, I don't think so. See, we started getting such requests very early on, in fact, because I said, because I used to work at Filmfare and Film Companion, like intern there. So, people did know, people come to know of you and what you're doing. So, I think, very early on, I think in our first year only we got like a first request to write a positive review and we turned that down. But it's not important to, stay low or submit to these people, because at the end of the day, it's about your brand and what you want to build off it. So I think turning these requests down, turning all sorts of things that didn't, really merge with our brand identity down, was the idea from day one, and it wasn't tough. Again, see, for me, it comes, whatever I'm saying, comes from a place of privilege, because this is not something I do as like my main job. This is just, as I said, just started off as a passion project, and then it turned into what it turned into. So I do come from that place of privilege.
Right. Veer, do you think that creating content online has to be about money? Do you think that there could also be, digital content creators or influencers or even YouTubers who could just create content for the sake of it and then not take up any promotions or any sort of brand endorsements? Do you think that is also something that a lot of people are doing, or are people actively opting for, brand endorsements?
See, like Kundan said, that we also come from a place of privilege, as in, I'm an actor, right? I will work in a couple of shows, and that gives me some sort of credibility where I don't have to start as an influencer to gather some audience, right? When we're talking about people, when we're talking about kids or teenagers or these new influencers who are coming from Delhi, Kerala, even Gujarat, Northeast, all these places, they are getting into to earn money. They are not getting into as a side job. They are taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
And they also inspired by people who are very serious about it, who are now, it's not an easy job. It's not something that you think of something, you make a video and then that goes viral. I mean, as an actor, I can say that if I enter Instagram or if I enter Twitter, there will already be people who've seen my shows and they'll come and follow me. But for a new person, they'll have to think of the economic aspect of it, to work on it every day, probably 4 or 5 hours every day, to keep creating, keep at it again and again after so many rejections. There's one video that goes a little viral, then the next one goes a little more viral. Then this is how you actually get to a point where you can earn mere 5-10 grand, and that's how you probably want to build more. So I think on Instagram, on internet, influencer work more than anybody else.
Okay.
Veer,
so very interesting you pointed out that, it depends on viewers, the kind of money that you earn. So having views is directly proportionate to earning money. Is that how this works?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The number of views that you have, is that what translates into the kind of money that you make? Is that how this works?
Yes, of course. Of course, how many people are you actually engaging? How many people are looking at your posts? How many people actually, the brand wants that? See, if I want to sell a certain brand, the brand will decide what is the route that I want to take. If I want to take a comedy point of view, then I will take influencers who do comedy. If I really want a serious message to go somewhere, then you look at someone who has more credibility of what they say or what they do on internet. It really depends on how you want to sell your thing.
Okay, let me also rope in Kundan here. Kundan, so we've understood that the number of viewers that you have translates into the kind of money that you will make. So viewership, of course, is one way to earn money. Now help me understand, when we talk about, let's say for instance, the kind of content that you are creating, or the kind of endorsements or the kind of sponsorships that you're getting on board. What part of the revenue generation does that have? What I'm trying to ask you is viewership, the percentage of revenue that you earn from that versus the percentage that you earn from sponsorships and partnerships.
See, I think, at the end of the day, adding to what Veer had to say, what I think matters is content. If you have good content, no matter the viewers, no matter what, it's going to blow up. So, today it's possible that you have 1,000 followers, but if you put some good content, tomorrow you will have 2,000 that will and that will keep multiplying. So it's not, and sponsorships come only again when you have all these viewers. They don't come without them. Like I remember early on when we started, we wouldn't get access to press shows, film previews, and stuff like that. But now, even though I don't live in Bombay anymore, invites keep coming. So I just think that it's very important to keep a good balance between your viewers, what your viewers actually want, what your sponsors want, and what you actually want to put out there. So, see, for me, it becomes a little easier because it's a written word. So, you have a lot of, like you can play around with words and, there is scope for correction also. But when you are creating like a video, a reel, a live session, there's no scope for, editing. So that becomes a little tricky there. But for me, again, as I said, words are very important. So depending on what, for me, again, SEO plays a very important role. You tap into that and then you understand what it is that Google is going to pick up for you also. So that way you have to create content in such a way that everything, your viewers are satisfied, your sponsors are satisfied, and also your urge to create content is satisfied.
Right. Mithali, now job creation is a big aspect of the influencer industry, right? Like you had also mentioned, there are several jobs now, apart from just managers and say a stylist or a camera person to help out with your set. There are several jobs where a person looks through someone's feed and plans the influencer's feed, plans their content, helps with content planning. There are several editors or content creators, curators. There are so many jobs that this industry is creating. Could you also share your thoughts on that?
Yes, absolutely. What happens is we have to actually understand the backward and forward linkages when it comes to the influencer economy, or as Kundan said, the artistic economy that has come up with the digital media. Of course, there are people who are in big tech, right? So there's this whole part of their jobs and their roles expanding and more jobs coming up within big tech, which is fueled by these artists. But at the same time, the artists themselves are hiring such a large coterie of people to work with them in their teams, and that itself is creating so many new jobs. And as you said, it's not unskilled jobs. These are very skilled jobs. You have to understand how to work social media. You have to understand how to work, on photography. You have to understand on how to work on product photography. Is a different, set of skills from photographing, say, for example, people or outfits or clothes. So, it's very, very interesting. And I think we spoke about this even when we were preparing for this show, that do we need skill training, and do we need to introduce these job roles in our larger PMKVY and government schemes which talk about skill training, so that these job roles are not limited to people who've grown up with mobile phones, but can actually percolate down to those people who may not have had the exposure to a mobile phone till later in life and may not be very well versed with English even, but can still come in and do these jobs and become good at it through skill training. Okay. And that's what we really need for upward mobilization.
Okay, so then, let's also understand, we have two people with us on the broadcast who are artists now, that now it seems that we're going to be shifting influencers to artists, but Kundan and Veer, help us understand, how big are your teams? Let's first, take Veer on this. Veer, how big is your team, your immediate team, and also the people that support you on the back end? So, for instance, when you go on these shoots, for OTT platforms, then digital marketing and promotions, the whole different segment. How many people are in fact, how many people have jobs because you are there on the screen?
Before this pandemic, we had one person shooting me, one person editing the video, and one person making sure that everything is according to the brand and the script that we were given. Right now, I put the camera on a shelf. I try and edit it myself, and I'm the actor as well. And I also, try to talk to brands and, try to finalize the script. Right now the team is obviously very limited, but usually everything that you see, we have from cameraman to someone who's editing it, someone who's writing the script, someone who's just point of contact for each and everything.
Okay, and Kundan,
This is
as
I'm
far
talking
as-
about my Instagram, my social media.
Correct. All right.
I'm not
And-
talking about how we shoot shows.
Yeah, of course. All right.
Just
And-
clear myself.
Okay, and Kundan, as far as you are concerned, you have an entire website. I understand that you write about fashion, you write about films, lots of things that you're doing simultaneously. How big is your team?
Yeah. We usually have about 3 to 4 people, like on and off. Because I don't think, see again, the aim to make this website is never, like there's no larger aim. It's just that, we want to keep talking about film. So whoever we find is interested in doing that but needs a platform, gets on board and does it with us. So we, on and off, we always have a team of 3 to 4 people talking about films and fashion.
Okay, all
And
right.
honestly, sorry, I'm cutting you in between, but most
Go
of the influencers that you see on Instagram or on YouTube, most of them are one-man army. Most of them.
Yeah.
Like they would record it themselves, they will write the script and they will edit it, and there are many people who actually do it on a daily basis. They have a video, they have vlogs every day, they shoot it throughout the day, they edit it at night, they sleep, they get up and they start shooting again.
Other than their managers, of course, right, Veer? Because from what we understand, managers are extremely crucial to influencers and the kind of, let's say, partnerships that they pick.
Of course.
All right.
Of course, I have management. I have 3 people working with me all the time, and management is obviously huge aspect right now because there's so many people who have, like I know so many influencers who have more following than me, they have better content, they are writing each and every day, they are creating new ideas every day, but I mean, I don't know how to reach them, how will a brand go to them? So that's why a lot of agencies, they are not only signing talents, they are not only signing actors or singers, they are just signing people who have a potential, who already have written or well followed Instagram handles or Twitter or YouTube,
Okay, all right.
So that plays a big part.
Veer, Kundan, as well as Mithali, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, guys.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.